I haven't ever done that drill down. Service providers in the industry. Tell me a little bit about Addressable and like what part of the market you guys are looking to tackle and how you can be relevant for everybody who's listening to this right now.
So thank you so much for having me, Yitzy.
Mike
Speaking
over here.
directly into the mic, thank you so much for having me. So what Addressable is doing is we're helping companies in the space with acquiring users. So we're working with the biggest blockchains, exchanges, wallets, helping them to drive users into their products, such as developers,
Like what everybody
traders.
needs.
Exactly.
So
It's what.
how do you do it?
So let's start with what's the challenge for doing that. Like why driving users is not the same thing in every industry. The big challenge in crypto is that everybody is anonymous. You don't even have the email address of people who bought your token.
It's so
right?
true.
Right. The background of our team is we did big data analysis and understanding of identities for 10 to 15 years. And with that, what we're doing is we're building a database in which we're collecting more than 1 billion wallet and then reaching them with who they are behind that, with the goal of helping companies better understand their audiences, not at the individual level, but
So
where
you're
they
targeting wallet holders based on data that you, I guess, aggregate on the back end, and It's like it stays anonymized.
it stayed
Like presumably you're building quite an interesting database, in because you're able to attribute all kinds of, I don't know, behavioral analytics to these wallets that like presumably are anonymous, but now are less anonymous given the data that you've tagged onto them. So like sounds like a really interesting set of data.
right. It's incredibly important for us as founders that love the space to help it grow properly. For that to happen, companies need to better understand and be able to target their target users. That's exactly what we're doing in Addressable.
Okay, so give me a use case. Like, how would it work? Let's say I'm an L2, and I'm looking to bring people onto my chain. So, how do I find them? Where do I find them? And like, how do I integrate with your platform? Like, is it a dashboard, or like is it dedicated hand holding? What does it look like working with your team?
So we actually chose a very special use case because if you're thinking about L2, it's one of the most interesting use cases for user acquisition in the space. Why? The first persona they're looking for is developers. They're looking for app builders that will build on top of
Bring
their chain.
value to their chain.
Exactly. That's how layer
Like
two grew.
if you build it, kind of they will come kind of thing.
Exactly. The second thing is most dApps, when you're thinking about that, they're very, very small team. Their growth expertise is not that good. So in a lot of cases, the layer two are also responsible for driving users to these dApps to swap the tokens or to play the games or to do something else. For instance, framing themselves as a layer two of games or a layer two of DeFi. And the last case is driving investors to hold the token because they believe the layer two will see great traction in the future, right? So the layer twos, they need to drive developers, they need to drive users for the dApps, they need to drive traders. But who are they? If you would ask a layer two, where are these users? What they will describe to you is what they're doing on chain. I want smart contract developers that are deploying code on chain. I want dApp traders that would go in my chain. I want Web3 gamers that would come and play the games. I want investors that own the tokens of these fellow layer twos for me. They're thinking about wallets. What our system does, it enables them to put in the description of how they're thinking about the target audience, all on-chain terms. We're translating that. This is so weird. Like for people that are watching it right now, you have to see what's going on around here. Like classic crypto scene. There's somewhat of a weird
like
Japanese doll that is chasing someone with a snake. Like you cannot be confused that this is a crypto conference. Going back to our topic, we translate how these companies are thinking about their audience, which is on-chain terms.
Like you're giving these wallets a name basically, and you're allowing your clients to put them into groups and help identify where they want where they want to get these guys from, or how they do retention. I guess because like after you build the dApps and you bring people, there's
So
typically
to make
probably
that,
like a
to
lot
make
of
it
hype.
very, very concrete,
Like you want sticky clients. Like you want people to stay on your chain, not to just come and
Right.
go. Right?
It's a very good point. It's a very good point. So you want people that would stay, which means you don't want the bots. You don't want the farmers. You want people that actually find value in users. This is where Addressable steps in. You'll find solutions that are about getting traction numbers for your product goal, which is it's very important if what you're trying to do is test out or test stress or see what it's like for any user to step in, regardless of whether you care. But as soon as you want to scale and you want to see how people enjoy your product and grow with that, that's when you need the real users. This is where you typically start to use it.
Okay, very cool. So like your optimal use case is like a more mature but not too mature customer.
So that's the ideal case. But in a lot of cases as well in the spaces we know it, growth is typically not linear, right?
Right.
Companies are moving from attention at some growing rate to like one singular day, typically a TGE, where they need to scream that very, very loud, right, and drive the users. And the reason why this stays so important is on the blockchain, everybody see how many users you have or how many traction really affects the token price.
But then it's the retention where it gets difficult because like you might have an airdrop and everybody comes, but then they leave the day after.
So an airdrop is a very tricky mechanism, right? You have to play it right. But if I'm putting airdrop inside and looking about the token is going live, am I really driving real users of traction? What is really important for a project to do is keep the foot on the pedal to drive new users in. Because
But then how do you do that? I mean, I think that's like the biggest question, right?
Right, right. So there's a lot of means for doing that, including KOLs, including PR, and one of these means is running ads. That's exactly what we do at Addressable. So our thesis is that crypto users are essentially people like you and I. We spend most of our time on Twitter or reading the news or
Okay.
spending our time on other websites, which is this is where we target them. We show them as the protocol that you want to promote, of DLT law, for instance, on Twitter or on CoinMarketCap or on CoinGecko, or even on the news because we have the identifiers to be able to target them.
So like it's just taking me as an example, like the fact that like once upon a time I used I don't know my ENS name as my username on Twitter. You would go and you would say, okay, this wallet address is associated with Yitzy Hammer, who's associated with this Twitter profile, and then you would target me through X ads based on my wallet activity.
So there's a wide
Did
variety.
I get that right?
So that's one way that makes it very, very simple to think of how we're connecting wallets.
Okay.
So that actually a very good example. But if you think about that, the world is so much bigger than ENS, right? ENS has in total 500,000.
But where else are people
registered
like
users.
shilling their wallet address in like direct association with their identity?
So I think the concept to think of at Addressable is we're trying to do that is at a huge scale. To understand, like on crypto on a day-to-day basis, there's 30 million unique active users. That's the A16Z estimations that are active on the blockchain.
Okay.
At this point in time, for at least 23 million wallets, we know exactly who's behind them
Wow.
in order to run ads very, very effectively. And we think that it's part of a critical infrastructure for the space, bridging that into existing ad systems.
Okay. So, and do you play nice with like PR agencies? Like it seems like you're not competitors, but you guys kind of play in the same arena. Like, how do you work in tandem with them to provide a more like holistic set of marketing services to a client?
So it's definitely complementary. PR, if you think about that, it's a way to show content on a third party speaking on your behalf, right? It's quality content on a quality outlet. The reason you would typically work with paid media and ads is you want to accelerate any form of announcement. It can be a tweet, it can be a PR, it can be a native blog on your website. You want more people to see it. So one way to think about that is I want to take the PR that was published about us at Forbes and I want to push it to our audience on Twitter or to new audience.
And you're the one who tells us who that audience is, and you help us target that.
Exactly, because if you think about that, crypto is a niche industry in which most products are not commodities. They're designed for native crypto users. DeFi protocols, stable coins. If they're shown, for instance, as a joke to my mom that doesn't understand crypto, she'd be looking at that and moving straight
Right.
forward, right? We want
To
the
make sure you're
marketing
getting to the right
budgets.
place.
Exactly. So when we're getting you to the crypto users you're after, you're getting much better return for your.
Amazing. Okay. So for any of you who weren't familiar with Addressable before, now you heard it from Asaf's mouth. What they're doing is certainly innovative. It's really, really cool. Is anybody else doing something similar in the industry?
I think there's lots of builders building different forms of marketing tech, and I think there's room for a lot of that. Web3 marketing is very different from Web2, mainly because of anonymity and the richness of the data.
Right. So the fact that you de-anonymize to a certain extent makes you like really unique in that.
Yeah, it is important to say that we're not de-anonymizing and we're keeping the privacy of the users and everything. This is very important for us on both a personal, ethical, and compliant matter, right? But this particular approach of taking the Web2 part of advertising into Twitter, the banner ads, and making that accessible for Web3 advertisers, that's a game changer. And there are other builders that are building things that are very, very much important. And I think they're all coming together. In marketing, you typically kind of try to build a stack of things that you
Very, very cool. Asaf, thank you so much.
Thank you for
I
having
hope you
me.
enjoyed your time here in Hong Kong, and certainly appreciate you coming on and chatting with me. And I hope that this has been a successful venture for you.
Thank you so much.